Hey y'all, Joefer here, the Cranky Old Gay Guy, and today I'm going to be talking to you about radical acceptance. Now, I was listening to an interview with an actor in LA yesterday. It's interesting, after listening to the interview, I looked up the guy's picture and I've met him. He used to live in Portland, where he was doing some theater, and he used to, I don't want to say date, but hook up with an old roommate I had. So he had been to my house, and that's how I met him. And I always wondered, I knew that he went on a soap opera in L.A. I saw that. And then I haven't seen him around for a while in any media. And boom, he was on this podcast being interviewed by a podcaster in L.A. and talking. And it's like, wow, that sounds like so-and-so. And lo and behold, it was. So I know someone who's actually on a Netflix show, in movies, and has been on a soap opera. I know. It sucks to be me. Anyway, we're talking about radical acceptance. Now, I had never heard the term, but he was talking about how he made it in LA through radical acceptance, meaning that you can't change what has happened or what the certain circumstance is at the moment. And you have accepted that, both mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that it's happened. It's gone. It's in the past. We move on from here. And you accept when things occur that you have no control over. You realize that you have no control or the ability to go back in time and change them. So you accept them the way they are. It doesn't mean that you can't, from that point forward, work towards changing them and maybe reversing what has happened, but you have accepted what's happened. So rather than say, oh, woe is me, why am I always the one gets the short end of the stick? Or, oh, woe is me, it's just not fair that I lost my credit card and now I can't go to dinner tonight. I don't know, that's a stupid example. But what it is, okay, here's one. This is one that I used. See, I have been using radical acceptance in my life, and I just didn't know what it was called. Because when I looked it up, there's this website called hopeway.com, I think. And they've actually put out a book on it, believe it or not. And they give you like 10 steps to radical acceptance. And I will go over those steps here in a bit. But I don't know if I've used all the steps, but I've used some of them to get to it. And a good example is the most recent election. I know a lot of people were really, really down. And I chose not to be, because I didn't want to ruin my day. And I also didn't want to be in that mental state. And I also didn't want to acknowledge that or allow the side that won to make me feel this way, because that puts them in charge, and that's not what I want. So instead, I just accepted that this is what happened, and there's nothing I can do to go back and change it. So the only thing I can do is work towards the future and, try to mitigate as much as possible things that could possibly happen or would happen in the future if I didn't mitigate. Or we, as the side that lost, didn't mitigate and try to make sure that things don't get as bad as we projected. So that's what that is. I'm going to take you right to the site. Well, actually, I did screenshots. I'm not going to take you to the site. Let's see. Radical acceptance is not approval, but rather completely and totally accepting our mind, body, and spirit, with our mind, body, and spirit, that we cannot currently change the present facts, even if we do not like them. By choosing to radically accept the things that are out of our control, we prevent ourselves from becoming stuck in unhappiness, bitterness, anger, and sadness, and we can stop suffering. Now, this was written up during the coronavirus era, because people were feeling like the end is nigh. And that's what this was about. So 10 Steps to Radical Acceptance from Hopeway, and that is hopeway.org, not com. Let's see. Practicing another semi-definition of radical acceptance means practicing a conscious effort to acknowledge and honor difficult situations and emotions. So let's get to those 10 steps. Number 1, we are going to observe that you are questioning or fighting reality. So, much like a 12-step program, the first step is realizing that you have a problem. So in this, it's realizing that you're fighting reality and you're questioning why, because you know it just shouldn't be this way. Well, you need to accept that it is this way. And that's your first step. Once you accept that, you can move on to step number 2. Remind yourself that the unpleasant reality is just as it is and cannot be changed. This is what happened. You might not like it, but it's what happened. So don't dwell on it. Don't kick yourself. Don't come down on yourself, hurt yourself, or get in a bad mood, because this is what happened. You just accept that this happened. There's nothing you can do about it. Number 3, remind yourself that there are causes for the reality. Causes. Yeah, you could have gone back if you knew what the causes were, you could have maybe prevented it, but you don't know. But you got to realize that, or come to terms with the fact that there were reasons that this happened. Whether it be, again, election related, that the Democratic Party didn't speak to the working people, or that the right played on transphobia and immigration phobia to the point where that's all that people were hearing. There were reasons. That's all it's saying. Number 4, practice accepting with your whole self, your mind, body, and spirit. Use accepting self-talk. That's when you talk to yourself as if you're talking to another person. Like, I love you, I care about you, you're important, I accept you and all of your flaws. Your flaws are what make you beautiful, that kind of stuff. That's self-talk. Relaxation techniques, mindfulness, or imagery. And imagery would be like visualization. Like an athlete running a race. In their mind, they see themselves running and they see themselves winning. And they convince their mind that they are winning and they've already won this race. So when they get out there, their mind kicks in and it's like, well, we're going to make this happen because you visualized it. We're going to make it happen. Manifestation is something similar, but a little bit different in that manifestation is considered woo-woo, while visualization is just considered part of athletic training and meditation. Number 5, list all the behaviors you would engage in if you did accept the facts, and then engage in those behaviors as if you had already accepted those facts. You know what I mean? So, write down on a list everything that you would do if the outcome happened that you didn't want. It's happened. Write down what you would do about it. Now, actually engage in those thoughts. I say thoughts, this says behavior, but if you were going to go hurt somebody, if this happens and now it happens, so you're going to hurt somebody, don't do that. No, don't do that. Just, if you were going to be angry and say, I am going to fight back and I'm going to go start a petition drive to have this candidate withdrawn from City Hall or whatever. And that's what you say that you're going to do in your mind if this person wins. Okay, now this person won. So now you have to actually engage the behavior that you had planned out. And again, if you had planned to harm someone, don't do that. That's just letting them win once again and they've taken control of you, and they're going to mess up your life. Number 6, imagine in your mind's eye, believing what you do not want to accept, and rehearse in your mind what you would do if you accepted what seems unacceptable. Now that is confusing as hell, right? So I'm going to read it again. Imagine in your mind's eye, believing what you do not want to accept. Let's say the world was proven to be flat. You don't want to accept that. So believe that the world is flat, and rehearse in your mind what you would do if you accepted what seems unacceptable. So, you think the world's round, someone proves the world is flat. What would you do if someone proved that the world was flat? How would you feel? What would your reaction be? Would you question everything you've ever learned? Would you go after NASA for printing or putting out photos of a round planet? I don't know. But that's what it's asking you to do. And then what would you do in your mind? You're rehearsing in your mind, again, visualization. What would you do if you accepted these facts? I mean, would you plan a border tour just to go around the ring of the world? You know, just to see what the edge looks like? You might. But just plan this out, because what you're doing is you're telling your mind and your body that, oh, this has happened and this is the way things are. So again, it's just acceptance of the way things are. And do I believe the world's flat? No, I do not, but that is just a hypothetical example. Number 7, attend to body sensations as you think about what you need to accept. So if you get a pain in your gut because your candidate lost the election, feel it. Say, oh my gosh, I feel that in my gut. And what's causing that? Oh, anxiety or anger or tension because your candidate lost. So feel that. Number 8, allow disappointment, sadness, or grief to arise within you. What it's telling you to do is play out the emotion. Don't put up a wall and say, let's say you lost and it's like, I feel like crying, but big boys don't cry. There's a song about that from the Nixon administration. Big boys don't cry. Big boys don't cry. Remember that? That was an interesting era. Anyway, feel it, allow it, live through it. That's how you're going to get over it. If you put up a wall and you just say you stop and you don't do those emotions build up. They cause a lot of turmoil in your body. And that's what, in my mind, helps bring about disease and illness. I think Eastern philosophy is that would be bad chi. And it's going to build up and build up and build up, and until eventually your dam's going to break. All this stuff's going to come out, and it could be bad for you personally, mentally, physically. You could be harsh to people around you that you don't want to be harsh to. So let the emotions go. Have a good cry. Let it out. Number 9, acknowledge that life can be worth living even when there is pain. Okay, a lot of people said after the presidential election, well, they did it the first one and they didn't do it. Now they're saying it on the second one. And I think only a few celebrities left. I'm leaving the country if he wins. Well, a few of them have left the country, but I don't think it's because of him. I think it's more that they're somehow linked to the whole P. Diddy scandal and they're getting out before the proverbial refried beans hit the fan. So you acknowledge that life is worth living. So even though this made you feel bad, you got to think about, well, things have been bad before and I got through them. So things are going to be okay eventually. Life's worth living. I need to keep going. Number 10, do pros and cons if you find yourself resisting practicing acceptance. So if you find that you just can't accept that your candidate lost, write down in one list all the pros of your candidate losing. She has more time with her family. She can work behind the scenes. Maybe she'll go back into Congress. Maybe she'll run again. Who knows? But that would be a pro for her. A pro for you. There now is a larger community for you to practice your disenchantment with what's going on. There are plenty of people out there that feel the same way you do, and now you have a community that you can all grieve together. Okay? That's one. A con. Well, inflation. Higher taxes for the middle class. Cutting of some social service programs or reductions in those. Deportation of people that are here that deserve to be here, that have been here for a long time. Harassment of families. Destruction of families. There's a lot of cons. But you need to make a pro and a con list, and then you go back to step one and you go through this list again, and you can compare your pro and con list, and it's like, wow, this is the way things are. And it could have been this way, but this is how way things are. So you're coming around a roundabout way to accepting it. And that is what radical acceptance is. And that is why I wasn't super cranky the day after the election. Because I didn't do all these steps, because I didn't even know what this was, but I did something very similar. Knowing that I had no way of changing the outcome. It's what's done is done, and it's time to move on from here. Will I forget it? No, I'm not going to forget it, but I'm also not going to let it drive me crazy. That is about all I've got for you today. It is Saturday, the 23rd of November, and it is not raining at the moment, but it is chilly and damp, and there's wet leaves everywhere. And it's not something that I want to spend a lot of time outside today. I did that yesterday, and I did rake up all those leaves. Yeah, that made me feel so good, because I was tracking them in and out of the house, and it was just, take a deep breath, radical acceptance. I'm accepting that winter has arrived, and there's not a dang thing I can do to make it go away. All right, I will see you all tomorrow on Sunday. Maybe I'll have something interesting to talk about. Who's to say? But take care, everyone. Yeah. And yeah, that's about it. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
His name is Joefer, the cranky old gay guy. Give him a topic and see where he goes. It's just like Joefer, the cranky old gay guy, to give you his opinion and put on a show. If you like what he does, it isn't a phase. If you like his channel, subscribe today. His name is Joefer, the cranky old gay guy. He's cranky and old, but we just don't know why. You can see Joefer, the cranky old gay guy, on his YouTube channel, The Cranky Old Gay Guy Show. crankyoldgayguy@gmail.com. His name is Joefer, the cranky old gay guy. Give him a topic and see where he goes. It's just like Joefer, the cranky old gay guy, to give you his opinion and put on a show. If you like what he does, it isn't a phase. If you like his channel, subscribe today. His name is Joefer, the cranky old